Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls coming to you from the West Coast. Well, it's Christmas in July and I've started my Christmas cards. Seems so early, but I guess as crafters we got to get started early. So I wanted to share some snowflake cards. I love snowflakes, so I've started making some snowflake cards, and I wanted to share three with you. This is the first one I'm going to share. It's a it's very simple to make. It's a fairly basic, but it still looks really pretty. I did this one in pinks. I'm kind of a lavendery pink. I'm going to do a sample in blues just to show you what it looks like a little bit differently. So let's get started. So we're going to start with a piece of, this is, let me find the package. This is from the Crafter's Companion Frosty and Bright Sarah Signature Collection. It's this luxury foiled card pad, and it's basically like Centura Pearl card that's already sort of pre-embossed or something. I don't know if you can, hopefully you can see the pattern on that. And if you add some inks, it really looks pretty. I think it's easier to see once you add the inks. So we're going to start with that. So we'll use the Harmony Water Reactive Ocean Blue, which is a nice pretty blue. That looks good. And you just want to lightly touch the surface. You don't want to leave any circles from the ink blending tool or anything like that. Just very softly run over. And I'm trying to create just kind of a little bit of a frame type of a look, as opposed to creating a solid color on the paper. So I want to kind of softly come in from each side. So just work your way around. I want a little bit darker on the edges, so I'm just going to kind of add a little bit more ink to the around the sides. And again, the whole point is to draw your eye to that center, because that's where I'm going to have my layered snowflake. There, and I think that's pretty good. So look how much more noticeable those snowflakes are once you add some ink to it. Then I've got 3 snowflakes that I just cut out of the white multi-purpose card, and I'm going to do some inking on these as well. But we're going to start with the lighter shade of blue. Well, I'll start with the middle one since I already have this one. So I'm going to layer these up, and I want the center one to be a little bit darker so that the top one is more obvious, visible with the lighter color. Because if I made them all the same color, then they just kind of blend into each other. And I don't want them all like solid. I want them a little bit sort of blotchy. So that's exactly the way I want it. The other two I'm going to do with the lighter shade of blue, the baby blue. I'll start with the top one, and I'm just going to just kind of touch that. I just want that hint of blue on there. Just like that. But see, when you layer them up, that top one really stands out because it's lighter. I'm going to do the same with the bottom. I'm just going to kind of touch around the edges and give it a hint of that blue. But I want it mostly white. I just want to get it enough blue to kind of take the starkness away. Let's see, when you layer those up, they really stand out. And when you put them on the background, they look really pretty. They stand out. I think I'm going to add just a little bit more darker blue to this side of this one. And getting the colors right is really just about putting them together and see what you like. I'm going to put just a little bit of darker blue around the edges because I want that wider snowflake to really stand out against the blue. Like that. That's better. And then it's just about putting them together. Let me clean this ink off so I don't mess it up. And then we're just going to do some matting and layering. So I've got some just paperweight in kind of a turquoisey blue that's a good contrast. We're just going to layer that on there. And with this Kalal all-purpose glue, you can kind of wiggle the paper around, and that helps get the glue spread out to the edges. And if any seeps out, which I was very fortunate on that one, it didn't, but if it does, it just rubs away. So it's super nice glue for that. And then we're just going to layer our snowflakes up. And for this, I use tacky glue. And I don't want to put it all the way to the outsides. I'm just going to kind of put a few dots here and there through the center because I want a little bit of movement and lifting on that snowflake just to give it the sense of floating. So I'm not going to put glue all over it, just in spots. And on stuff like this, you can use, you can use a Xyron, you can use a dotty tape pen, but I tend to use my tacky glue and just kind of put little dots here and there. Get it nice and centered. And press it down. And the nice thing about the tacky glue is it grabs almost instantly. But see, there's a little bit of lifting. I don't mind that. I kind of like the motion, and even more so on the top layers. I'm just going to put glue in that center because I like to see it kind of lift and get some motion. You just want to put it right in the middle, offset it. Oh, I should have said this back snowflake die is this one. It's from the Crafter's Companion Snowflake Mandalas collection from sometime earlier this year, I think. Can't remember exactly when. And then the other snowflakes are just, I don't even know where I got them. I have a whole collection of snowflakes from different things that I've gotten over the year, different winter collections. And so, and then I'm just going to put a clear, like a dewdrop. And actually, maybe I'll use some glitter glue. I was going to use the dewdrops there. No, I will because it's easier. I don't have to wait for it to dry. And done. Super simple card. Looks beautiful. I had the pink variety or the blue variety. I can't decide which one I like better. This one, I didn't get that very centered. Yeah, it's okay. You can add a sentiment, or I don't actually think I'm going to add a sentiment. I think I'll put a sentiment on the inside, but I think the outsides I'm just going to leave just like that. Pretty happy with that. Anyway, very, very simple card. Like I said, this is that Frosty and Bright. If you don't have that pad, you could do an embossing folder in the back. And again, just cut the snowflakes, and I'd just mass cut the snowflakes into a big bunch. You probably, it's just off camera, but I have a huge pile of snowflakes over here that I've just been cutting out of my scraps. So that's the first one. The second one I'm going to show you is this one. A little bit more complicated or easy. This one I used an embossing folder, and then I layered 2 of the large snowflakes. I liked that look too. I think I might add a gem right in the middle, but anyway, in fact, I am going to do that. Big one? No, I gotta get a color, but I think I'll add a gem in there. But this one, I love cards that have motion. So I'm going to open this up and I'm going to turn it so that you can see it. So it opens up like that. And it creates basically the look of what I was going for, was kind of the look of a snow flurry or something. So, but it folds flat to mail. But isn't that fun? So let me show you how to do that one. So we're going to start with the front, which is just a piece of card and embossing folder. Depending on how big your card blank is, you can figure out what size card to emboss. Just cut it slightly smaller. Go ahead and emboss that and we'll ink it. I'm going to use that ocean blue. And we're just going to ink kind of like we did on the other paper, but just very softly. And again, I want that color stronger around the outside because I'm going to layer the snowflakes on the inside, and I kind of want them against almost a white. So, but this one I'm not going to put any colored paper underneath it, so I'm going to give me a nice dark edge on the outside of the paper, which gives you kind of a faux matte layer by just getting a nice strong ink line across the bottom, or across the edge, not the bottom, every edge. And then in the middle, I'm just going to touch. So I want a little bit of color, but I don't want a lot. So I'm just going to try and touch so that I just get the color on that raised snowflake to pull out that pattern. That's pretty good, I think. And then we're going to layer 2 snowflakes up. Oh, here they are. So we're going to put the blue on first and then put the white on top. And it's that same snowflake mandala on it. And this is the blue luxury card, ice blue luxury card. And this is just white Centura pearl. And just offset them like that. And that will be our topper. And that's a little loose on the edges, and that I don't mind that because it lifts and it kind of creates some movement. I'm going to get a gem. I'm going to go ahead and fix my first one for 2 while I'm at it. I'm going to go ahead and put a nice gem right in the middle there. I probably should have done this gem last, but that's okay. Okay, put that out of the way. Now we're going to work on the inside. So before you put the mechanism, this mechanism to make it pop up, you obviously want to do your matting and layering underneath first. So I'm going to do that. So I've got 2 pieces of cardstock from Frosty and Bright that I'm going to put in there. Okay. Once you get that matting and layering done, now you're going to create your mechanism. Well, I'm going to set that to the side while it's drying. And so to create the mechanism, here's what you need to do. It's actually pretty simple. So take a piece of cardstock that's 6 inches long by 2 inches high. You score it at 1.5, 3, 4.5. So you basically want to create fourths. And you're going to create an M or a W, depending on which way you look at it. Then across the bottom, you want to score at 1/2 inch. And you're going to fold that both directions because it's going to be your gluing tab, but you want to kind of score it both ways so that it moves. Then you're going to take your scissors, and I wrote on there so you can see it in case you want to take a screenshot. Then you're going to mark in the middle of each of these 4 sections. So that's, since this is 1.5 inches, that's 3/4 of an inch. So I marked at 3/4 of an inch in the middle of each of those. And then at 3/4 of an inch here in each of those 4 things. And you'll see why in a minute. But before I do that, then you're going to trim away this because I told you it was a gluing tab. So you basically want to just create the glue tab on the 2 outside pieces. So you're going to cut away the top, and then you're going to angle these just to create a glue tab like that. Okay. So now you've got your mechanism. But to make more spots to connect stuff onto, or whatever you want to call it, you're going to you want to connect with your scoreboard the dots. So from here to here, give it a good score. And then from there to, this one's harder because you got to find the groove. And then connect it back up to that center. And then the center down. To there. Rotate it. Go up to there. So you're creating these little triangles. Oops. You're creating little triangles all the way across the top. And then since I wrote on mine, I'm going to use my eraser and take that off before I do anything further. I just wrote on it so that you could see. But just erase those little marks because otherwise they'll show. Now you could put cardstock if you wanted to, like create little, layers of cardstock to cover the white if you want, or you could ink it or whatever you want. But you're just going to kind of bend these. So that one goes back and then this one goes forward. So you're going to bend it in just like that. And then squish it down and burnish. And then since that one went forward, This one has to go back. And they just kind of bend on their own. You don't really have to do too much to them. And then this one goes forward. So you just alternate. And you could have gone back, forward, back, or whichever way you want to go. It doesn't really matter because you can always turn it around. And then like that. So now once you get that all done, it will fold all up, and just try to make it straight or use before you burnish it all down. And then that's your mechanism. Just like that. And then you're going to glue it into your card and see it folds up and goes down. So now you're going to take your card, you're going to set it where you want it. Now keep in mind you're going to put stuff hanging off of this, so you don't want to put it all the way down here, because then anything coming forward is going to be outside of your card, and you don't want to put it all the way up here because anything in the backward. So you got to kind of put it in the middle, decide where you want it and how stretched you want it. You can stretch it, or you can make it, a little more like that. And then take your tacky glue, and we're going to put some glue on just one side. Don't do both, just one side. I'll show you why in a minute. Decide where you want it. So I usually try to get it sort of in the middle, and this needs to go right on that fold. So put it in there. Then push your tacky glue down on that tab. So it's going to fold like that. Fold it up. With it folded up, hold it in place. Put your tacky glue on the little tab. Close your card and hold it in place. Okay, and after you get it done, it should open and close. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but I actually tore my paper because I put it on and then I moved it and I ripped the paper. So I'm going to cover that up with just some snowflakes once I'm done. But so just be careful that once you get it on there, don't try to move it, because I put it too far to one side and I wasn't going to have room. But yeah, so then it should open and close just like that. And you can see the tabs are to the back, and then the first one is forward. So it's like the bottom piece is this way, this way, this way, this way. So it's kind of an M, not the W. And then because of that, then your triangles fold forward and then back, forward. And then the end pieces you can do back, you can leave them straight, you can do whatever you want to do. Now comes the fun part. So I used acetate. You can use whatever you want to attach the snowflakes to this piece. Now I've got some little short pieces with red liner tape on it. And if you want to do this, the easiest way is to put the red liner tape on first and then cut the little strips, so you're not trying to put itty bitty little pieces of red liner tape on each one. And these are really short. I also cut some longer ones that I have not cut down yet because I didn't put any red liner tape, and I'll tell you why. On this one, I put red liner tape, but it's on the same side on top and bottom. And sometimes, like if you put it this way, that works because you're going to put it on the back and then the snowflake's going to go on the front. But if you put it this way, then you want this piece of red liner tape actually on this side. So you might want to do some where it's opposite sides. And I don't know if you can't really see that. But on this one, the red liner tape is on the same side, top and bottom. And some of them, like if you're going this way, you actually want the red liner tape on the other side. So I left some this way, and I'll show you what I mean. So if you take that and you take your little skinny thin red liner tape and you can make these as long as you want. It kind of depends on how much you want them sticking out. And some of these, because if I'm going this way, they're going to be too long. So I'm going to cut them a little bit shorter because once you get that on there, you don't want stuff sticking out beyond the front of your card when it folds up. Actually, that might work. I'm going to cut it just a little bit. So I'll tell you right now, mine are, this is 2 inches, and I think these are an inch and a quarter. But on these, I'm going to do, so you strip a red liner tape on one side. Then flip it over and put it on the other end on the other side. So you have it opposite. Then once you get the red liner tape on there, now you can cut the little strips. And you can cut them as thin as you want. I cut them about anywhere from 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. This is the heavyweight acetate, or the construction weight acetate. And then I've got one more long one, and I'm going to put this one with the red liner tape on the same side. If I can find the end. And then there's an important trick as you're placing your snowflakes. But let me get this ready and I will tell you as I do it. Every time you place one, you want to refold the card and make sure that it is that whatever you're doing stays within the fold of the card. Okay, so these are the ones with opposite, these are the same, and then I have little short ones that are the same. So for these, I'm going to put one here, and now see, if I put that there, then whatever I put on the end, you got to make sure that when it folds, it stays inside the card. So that's why it's important to have things the right length. So I'll put that on there. And then we're going to just peel that red liner tape off and put a snowflake on the end. And I've got a whole bunch of little snowflakes cut. And then fold it up and see, make sure that it sits within the inside of that. And then we'll do the next one. And I tend to work, I found it easiest to kind of work symmetrically, so from one side to the other. And again, after every single one, make sure that it's going to fold. So that you want it to make sure it fits within the card, and that it's that it fits within the card, and that they're not interfering with each other. So then you can put some on this piece. And just pick colors, whatever you want. And keep in mind, you can do this with snowflakes, but you could also do it with flowers or anything, really. Pick anything you want. Just gonna, and again, fold it up. Yep, fits. And just keep going. Okay, and last but not least, I'm going to add some snowflakes to the front of that white mechanism just to make it look a little more pretty. And like I said, at every time, just make sure that it actually folds. And because you want to make sure that they're within the card and that they're not getting caught on each other. And there we go. We're done. Hope you enjoyed that. And now we've got one more to go. This one's similar to the one I just showed you. Different mechanism and gives you a different, I was playing with pop-ups, as you can tell. This one has a different mechanism. It just gives you a different look. So if you open it up, if this is the front of the card and you open it up and oops, so it looks like that from the inside. So this way opens up and that's the front of the card. So again, there's the mechanism, and I'll show you how to make that one. I'm going to do a different front on this one though. So again, we're going to do our mats and layers, and this one I'm just going to use that Frosty and Bright paper, and I'm going to use the Frosty and Bright paper on the front too. But on this time I'm going to ink that paper up just a little bit, just to give it a little bit of an edge. So I'm taking my ocean blue and I'm just going to deepen those edges because I'm not going to mat and layer it, and this just gives me a little bit of a definition. It's just a nice way to give those edges a little bit of a nicer look. We're going to go ahead and put our mats and layers on. And I'm going to go ahead and decorate the front as well before I start. This one, because you have when you do kind of an intricate inside, you don't need to do a lot on the front of the card. I don't think, because the wow is on the inside. So I'm going to put that on there. Put my mats and layers on the inside. For this one, I'm just going to do a nice basic snowflake on the front. Just fairly plain, and then I will add a sentiment to this one, but I'm not going to do that right now. Just get that on. Okay, now for this one, we're going to do a little bit different. So we're going to make two little squares or rectangles. These are obviously squares. This is 5 3/4 by 3/4 inch. And then it's scored at 1/2 inch and then 1 1/4 on each side. So 1/2 inch and then go over 1 1/4 and 1 1/4 1/4. And then you're just basically just going to glue it like that. I'm going to erase that before I glue it up so I don't see it. And you're just going to make a little square essentially, or a rectangle. You can if you have a bigger card, you can make these longer. Instead of a square, you can make more of a rectangle, or I mean any size you want, but you basically just want some sort of a rectangle or a square such that, and you want to glue it, put the glue on that tab and then fold it and glue it, hold it, and make sure that it bends both ways. It should go flat both directions. Now once you have those two, you're going to glue them together. So you're going to take your two pieces and you're going to they should be the same size. You can glue them like that. Okay. tacky glue back out. And it doesn't matter which side you glue together, honestly. So just stick them together. And then see, it'll fold flat, and you're going to mount it in your card right over the top of that fold so that when it folds, it'll fold flat. And then when it opens, it'll pop open. Okay? So you're going to fold it up, put glue just on half of it. Put it where you want it in your card, just right up against that fold line. Straight. Oh, got ink all over my fingers, making a mess. Put glue on the other half. Hold your card shut and hold it. And when you open, you got your little pop-up mechanism. Now, you can do this, you know, with your card landscape or portrait. I actually kind of like it this way because it's easier to decorate, and I should have thought of that when I put my snowflake on the front, but I'll put a bow or something over there, or maybe a little strip of paper with the edgeable. Anyway, and then to give it a little more height, what I did is I took this piece of paper. It's 1/2 inch wide by 3.5 inch long, and I scored it at 1/2 inch, and then I made this 1 inch, and then a 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. And then when you fold that up, you can glue it down. We're going to glue it, these little tabs, onto here, and that gives you a little bit of height, but it still will fold shut. So hold it like that, and we're going to put glue on the 2 tabs just on that bottom, those bottom pieces. Okay, and then you're going to take your card, you put it in the middle, and you're going to fold it shut and hold on to that for a minute. And now you got that extra pop-up. So then I did it this way, and so if you open it this way, this will be the front of your card. If you go this way, you can do it this way. It's just, especially if you have like a flower or something that you can fold in the middle, or if you took your snowflake and put it in the middle and folded it, that would work. But I'm just going to do it this way. Make sure you do it right. And then I have my big same snowflake from the front, and I'm going to glue that right on the front there. Right in the middle. So it looks like that. But see, it'll fold flat and then pops up when you open it. And then what I did is I took some other large snowflake dies that I had, and if you look at this one, I put them kind of to the back on the side just to give it a little more height. So you can put one, and you can use your little acetate squares as well if you want, and I think I will. And you just build up and put stuff on wherever you want it. This one is easier to place the snowflakes because they don't overlap as much, or there's not, because of the folding mechanism isn't as complicated. They just sort of fold flat, so it's not nearly as complicated or confusing or an issue to get them in there. But you just glue them on however you want. Take acetate. Okay, when you get all your snowflakes put on, it looks like that. So there's the front, and it opens up, and it looks like that. Super fun to make. Oop, that one's poking out. Got it a little too high. Hope you enjoyed that. I hope you can make your own and have a good Christmas in July. Thanks for joining me. Bye.